The Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. recognizes and honors the men and women who served in one of the worst wars this country has ever known. The wall is from the nation to the Vietnam veterans as a tribute to those who were lost while combating for our freedom. It makes no political statement whatsoever about the war. Throughout each year, over 2.5 million people from all walks of life come visit the wall to pay their respect and remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. It stands as a place that helps us, as a nation, deal with reconciliation and the healing that we still face even today.
The wall, as we call it, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, depicts of all the servicemen and servicewomen who gave their lives during the Vietnam War. And it helps the veterans, it helps the families to get back in touch with their deceased ones and the ones that are still unaccounted for. It also helps us as an individual because we can go and it's an emotional healing that when we see the wall and we see the name of the people we knew and we can reach out and touch that name, it's like we're touching that person again.
It gives people a chance to have closure. It also gives people a reason to go down and pay their homage to the guys that made the ultimate sacrifice and the people that are still missing.
I've been through the wall about 4 times already, and every time I go through the wall, it gets a little better. It never gets, you never leave out of there the way you walk in. It indicates sacrifice. It indicates men and women that went out without questioning and did what they were supposed to do for the government.
You feel sorrow and you feel anger. Men and women had their lives cut short, their dreams of families, of the future, and there was the fathers and the brothers and the nephews, the sisters and the wives or possible fiancés, that their lives were taken away also.
It brings understanding, it brings sorrow, it brings joy, it brings forgiveness, because with all this going on, people still feel that it was an injustice. It's heartbreaking. But that's the way it is, you know, you fight for something that you believe in and you hope that things get better.
I think the wall in Washington is important to veterans because it reminds them of what we fought for, you know, this country, and what freedom is all about. I think it's also good for the families of the veteran to be proud of what we did and what we accomplished.
As a stable reminder by the country that we do appreciate what the veterans have made the sacrifice for.
It makes me proud, you know, it shows strength that we're not forgotten, even though sometimes they say we were, you know.
When you look at our wall, you're looking at people. The wall represents lives, represents names, represents faces. You're looking at guys that were with you, guys that gave up their lives. That's what the wall is all about to us. The thing about the moving wall is that the moving wall goes to people that never been to the wall. The moving wall is a replica of the original wall. The moving wall is a symbol that travels around the country for veterans and families and daughters and sons to reflect on, since some of them cannot go to Washington. Financially, sometimes people can't go. They don't have the time to go. And then there's time where you don't want to go, because you're afraid of the wall. You're afraid what might happen to you when you go to the wall. So when you bring the wall, it gives you that opportunity to walk to the wall and get closer. Eventually, by the end of the week, you're at the wall and you can really, really look at what you've been missing for years, and you start to feel a little better. Bringing the wall to Co-op was a unique situation because it gave us the grounds, it gave us the attention, it gave us the equipment that we needed to put this wall in its rightful place for the week. To bring the wall, you need to have a high standard of security. You need to have flat terrain. You need to have lighting. You cannot put it on a concrete floors or on a concrete street. You need to have all these things, and you can't get that all the time, so you have to be careful where the wall goes. So it becomes difficult sometimes to bring a wall to a community.
My name's Linda, and Norris, Shears, and I travel with the wall. We're a team this year. This is our first year driving, but the wall has been on the road for 18 years now, and we travel from March until November. We do approximately 25 locations with this wall this year, and our sister wall is doing about 19 locations. So out of 350 applications that we get for the moving wall, we can do about 50 of those per year. Each location we get to, the sponsor supplies us with a staff of volunteers to help us put the wall up and take it down. Normally it takes approximately 3 to 4 hours to erect the wall, and once the volunteers learn how to put it up, it's a very fast process. Here in the Bronx, it's being sponsored by the Vietnam Veterans, Chapter 118, and they're in charge of staffing the entire operation. Norris and I bring the wall here, make sure that it's set up, but the rest of the 7 days, it's really your wall. It belongs to the community, it belongs to the veterans here, and they totally run the entire operation for that whole time. One of the key issues why the traveling Vietnam Wall was brought into being is because so many people in the United States and Canada can't get to the wall in Washington, D.C. And even those that do have told us in all the stops that we made that it almost means more having the moving wall come home. For example, coming home to the Bronx, to the community, so they can share in that experience together. The moving wall is funded entirely by public donations. It's funded by the communities that bring it and those people who donate. So it belongs to the citizens of the United States. The location here in the Bronx was a bit of a surprise to us. We didn't quite know what to expect, and it has turned out to be the most beautiful location that we've set up the wall so far, with the lighting and all the work that you've done to prepare this site. It's going to be an excellent week here, and it's probably going to be the biggest week for us. This is the most populated area that we've had the wall in this year. So we're very pleased to be here in the Bronx.
It brings people together, that's for one. It brings families together. It brings the community together. People start to realize what the Vietnam War was all about. They get this knowledge and understanding about what veterans are about. It helps to understand veterans better, what they need, how can you work with them, what kind of support they can use. By bringing the wall, it opens up their heart, it opens up their mind. The wall that goes to any community should respond with a positive attitude. We have to understand one thing. Of all the memorials that you have seen, the Vietnam Wall represents every man's face that got killed in Vietnam. So, when you bring the wall in, all that comes with it. All that knowledge, all that understanding.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, air. Oh, who say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming. It's a great honor to have you all here. There's a lot of people here today. A lot of people. A lot of veterans. There's a lot of mothers, uncles, brothers, sisters, and I thank everybody. I'm here today to express what the wall is about. The wall represents freedom. Ladies, gentlemen, dignitaries, it represents freedom. Something that we all take for granted, and we shouldn't. Because a lot of people gave their lives. It's sacred. It's sacred grounds where the name of our fellow comrades gave their lives. So we all can stand here today and give tribute. We need to protect our freedom at all costs. We also need to protect the freedom of other nations and other people. And that's why we're here today. To remind you that freedom costs us lives. We live under one nation. We live under the American flag. So we always remember who we are, where we come from, and why we're here. And with that, I say thank you. The politicians, it's a tradition that you invite people in politics because they help you out. So they come to show respect, and they also come because it's a duty. It should be. It's a duty to come and pay tribute to so many men and women that gave their lives.
I want to talk about a word that's very applicable today, and that's the word hero. Every one of the names on these walls, they're a hero. It's not because they were millionaires. It's not because they were on the TV every night. It's not because they could hit a home run or score a touchdown. They're a hero because they gave their life for us, their families, their wives and husbands and sons and daughters. The folks behind me and the veterans out in the audience today and all those people whose names are on the wall are the true heroes. The people who are willing to die for what we believe in.
You know, I think when we walk by this memorial, I think it's incumbent upon all of us to say a little prayer and say a thank you, because these are the people who really stood up for our country and fought for the freedoms that we all enjoy today.
They went to fight an unpopular war, and many of us at that time did not give them the love and the respect and the decency that they deserved.
We must never forget the tragedy and the horrors of war. The 58,000 Americans cost their lives. It cost the lives of their families. So when we see veterans, salute them.
But let's not forget people like Mr. Baez, who went there, fought, came back, but left a part of his pride in his heart alongside those men.
And obviously, the ones who came home, we feel so proud of. And we know how their hearts ache forever for the ones that they left behind.
Why do we come here on a day like today? Because we know that in the future our country will again be in danger. And without the gratitude, the example, the love that we show those who have sacrificed in the past, we will not have the commitment of those who will rise to defend us in the future.
May God grant them and their families the respite and the rest and the peace that they deserve. And may God grant their children and their grandchildren and the generations that follow the peace that they gave their lives for.
Another thing that was impressive was with the war coming to it, to COA, was the fact that our governor came. And that was really, really important for the community because it showed that our community is well respected And for the governor to come, it showed how much he cared for veterans and for the community.
You know, we're here in a wonderful, wonderful city and a wonderful, wonderful state and a great country. Everybody around the world looks at our freedom and says, how could that be? Well, the reason we are free is inscribed on that wall. The reason we are free is because for more than 200 years we've had an unbroken line of men and women willing to risk their lives and too often give those lives so that we could live in freedom. To Carlos, what can we say? Your effort, the efforts of the Vietnam Veterans Bronx chapter to bring this memorial here to Co-op City is extremely important. We're very proud of your heroism during the war. We're very proud of your never forgetting the sacrifice of those 58,000 names. So God bless you and thank you. On that wall are the names of many of my friends. People I had dreams with and talked about their future. And one of my best friends from college spent the night with me before he went off to Vietnam, and he never came back. And there's not a day that goes by where I don't think about his sacrifice. But his dreams for our country live on through us. And that's why it's important that we have memorials like this. We should all utilize those freedoms. Each of us has the ability to do that in our own small way. And that is what America is about. That's what our Vietnam veterans died for. That is what those 58,000 names on that wall signify. In doing that, we honor our Vietnam veterans. We honor those who have sacrificed for our freedom every day. Carlos, thank you for what the Vietnam Veterans Bronx chapter has done. This is a wonderful thing for all of us, and in particular for the children who are here and can appreciate the sacrifice that our Vietnam veterans have made.
The wall can be a spiritual experience on your first visit. On the opening day, Governor Pataki, Governor of New York State, came down, and after his speech, he went to locate the name of his buddy on the wall. He did a rubbing from the wall of Barton's Creed.
Same bracelet I have on.
And I told him, Governor, I have your friend's name on my bracelet.
Friend of mine in Peekskill. We grew up, went to junior high school.
I wore the bracelet with Barton's Creed for 27 years, which he's missing in action. And it turned out that he had grown up with Governor George Pataki as his governor. Please give the bracelet to the family.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you for
God
being
bless you.
here.
Thanks for
coming, Governor.
Thank you.
You're the greatest.
It is difficult to stand here and talk. But I'm a soldier. And I fought and saw people killed. And I'm a soldier.
Me personally, when I look at the wall, I always think about what this country's about, why we are where we are, and why we should always remember what veterans are all about. This is a great nation, so when I walk in and I see the wall, I look at it as a symbol of justice, but freedom. Freedom for us to understand what our lives is about, understand what our country is all about. The moving wall gives you more of a feeling of understanding why the wall is there. The wall in Washington is tremendous. It's like you walking up to a mountain. The moving wall has a different feeling because it's more family orientated, and it's friends and neighbors and families that all get together and they support each other, because you look at it from the distance, and before you know it, you're touching it. And that's the bottom line, to be able to walk to the wall and look for the name and cry and pray and leave something, and then say, okay, I've succeeded what I couldn't succeed years ago.
I get different feelings from the moving wall and the wall in Washington, see, because it's two different venues, whereas the one in Washington is from the country to the vets. The moving wall is the vets to the vet. And it was a thing that was put together so that everybody could get to see it. And the moving wall itself would be one that could get around to the country for the people that couldn't get to the wall in Washington. And it affords them the opportunity to see the names of the people they're looking for and things like that.
Well, I found the moving wall was more of a personal experience, because I was able to get right to the wall and touch the wall and feel the difference. I felt like I was part of the wall that was down at my level, where the wall in Washington, D.C. Nowadays, it's more of a tourist attraction, and you couldn't really relate to it. Even though no matter which wall I go to, the moving wall or the wall in D.C., is I do say my prayer and I salute them, and I try to salute each panel. In Washington, D.C., it's not always that easy because there's too many people in the way. Where the moving wall or the half-scale replica was able to salute the comrades who gave their lives by going to each panel. I know about 12 people that I either had contact with or I served with. And one guy, he was the chief, and before I left Nam, he gave me his chief badge. It says, someday you're going to be chief, which is a big rank in the Navy. But I knew then that I was getting out, that my career was over with, because Vietnam had changed my way of thinking. When you see people get killed for no reason at all, it's time to say, well, listen, I'm not going to be here that long. It's time for me to get home. And I says, I think I'll just stay with my regular job when I get home, if I make it home.
Personally, I only know one that is really close to me. Was like my, we were like brothers, and I went up to see him at the wall. But if you don't go to the wall, sometimes you never know. Sometimes you go to the wall just for that purpose, just to make sure that you don't see the name on the wall.
I try not to make it a conscious effort to look for someone I know. I like to just believe that the people that I went with, most of us came back. And I really wouldn't like to see the fact that they're all on the wall. So as far as knowing anybody on the wall, I couldn't give an emphatic yes, because I went through all the names.
What we veterans, we can get in touch with the guys we serve with, the families you can get in touch, and it's like a healing process. You feel good about yourself. And I felt very good about myself, because I was there for the whole 8 days, from morning to night, and I was helping people. I ran into mothers, and you're proud that you're able to help. And there was veterans that came who never even got close to the wall in D.C., and they've been there almost as much as I had. But they would go as far as the wall and look at it and walk away.
It took me 30 years to get to this wall. The one in Washington, I was 100 yards from it and I couldn't even walk to it. Sunday, I went to this wall behind me and I cried like a baby, because these men, half of them I knew. Okay? The purpose is, people of the United States have to be aware and continuously being aware of our Vietnam vets. I cry 100,000 deaths every day when I go by this wall. Okay? I'm a very emotional person. I have a right to be. Because these people mean something. They're human beings. We should never be treated like animals. Whatever we did, we did. We did with honor, we did with distinction, and we did with pride. And for that, I'm proud to be an American, and I always will be an American.
I know a lot of names on here. We did our very best in the name of our country. We went to a land which was alien to us, a language we didn't understand, people we didn't know. Unfortunately, those of us that survived, we had a very rude awakening on our way back home, to say the least. I guess it's easy to condemn someone when you haven't been there and haven't done that and haven't touched the horrific prospects of what we were involved with. However, freedom is not free. And we shed a lot of blood. We gave it our best shot. Oh, yes, we did. We gave it our best shot. And a lot of young men fell in the line of duty. They made the supreme sacrifice and gave their life. You can't ask for anything more than that. And these beautiful human beings, we call Americans, these guys, they gave it all. There's 50-some odd thousand names here, 50-some odd thousand families that never were. Families that could never be. These people would be grandfathers now, enjoying the middle age of life, their wives, grandchildren. That never was to be. So, very sad. I was very proud to have served with them. These were the best. This was America's best. I'm a 30-year veteran. I was involved in several wars for America, for my country. I love my country. I loved everybody here that was involved with me. God bless America, and God rest the souls of these beautiful men that we serve with. God rest their souls. Amen.
The wall, as coming to a community, it helps to bring the veterans that would not come out to the wall in Washington, brings them out of the closet. And the reason that they would be in the closet because like a lot of things just didn't come back the way that they thought it should have done. Like, for example, when the World War II guys came back, it was like, rah, rah, rally around the flag and all that. And then when we came back, it was like, you baby killers and stuff like that.
And they would spit on your face. And even the government, the VA hospitals and the VA system wouldn't treat you for dioxin poison, which is Agent Orange, because they said it did not exist. They never treated you for post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, because they said that didn't exist. They didn't know what it was.
This war represents the past, the present, and the future because of what these guys done in Vietnam and what they've done to give up their life. I sacrificed a lot to be in Vietnam and the things that I've encountered. I have a sickness which is Agent Orange. This is one of the sicknesses they've given me. I'm trying to educate the doctors. My breakout, when it comes into my body, it moves around. And this is a painful, painful disease that I got. As you can see, I deform in the face from head to toe. And this is what I got to live through. But the doctors told me I have to start coming out now and try to show them what's going on with this chemical that's in my body. And also at the same time, I educate a lot of the people that are not aware of the sicknesses that we caught in Vietnam.
The wall in Washington, D.C. opened in 1982, but it took me more than 8 years to get there because of my experiences in Vietnam.
It took a while before I could even decide to walk through the wall. It took about 4 guys to hold me up and walk me through the whole wall. Then when we get to the other side, it took another 4 guys to calm me down and get my feelings, settled.
I visited the wall down in Washington, D.C. several times, and several times I wasn't able to make it. I've gone through a PTSD program, and they helped me to make it through. However, it wasn't as personal and as intimate as the moving wall was when I saw it in Co-op City. I was able to stay there and relax and feel at home and pay my respect to those that my fallen comrades.
I felt good by going. I sort of relieved my survivor's guilt.
remembering is something painful, especially when you lost somebody that you slept with, hung around with, fought with, and you sit back and you say, well, he didn't make it, but I'm back. It's something that we'll never forget. But that's what the war gives us something to hold on to.
I met a lot of people that I served with that were drafted from the Bronx, and it became more of a family type thing.
There were 1,700 guys from New York that were killed. And out of the 1,700, I knew of 3 personally. And these are 3 I would see, but I felt akin to all of them.
I think all veterans should go to the moving wall to either heal themselves or release some inner anxieties that they've had for many, many, many years.
The relief that people get when they see the wall, you can't explain it. You have to be there to see. You see the joy, you see the grief, you see the agony, but most of all you see satisfaction. Now you can say, I can put this person to rest, finally, because I've seen his name and I understand what he did.
But to the people that always asked you, what was Vietnam like? What did you do? And for all the negative things, it gives them an opportunity to go see the wall and to understand what we've done as veterans. And perhaps then they can turn around and say, well, you've done a good job.
I can tell you, having a moving wall in the Bronx or in my community is that it was an emotional week for me. But I realized that when I took somebody to the wall to show them where the name of the loved one was and helped them to do the rubbing or the sketching, is that I had to be strong for that person or persons. I couldn't show my emotions. So each time in the morning when I went to the wall and at night when I said goodnight to the people on the wall, that's when I would let my tears flow. That's when I would more or less reach out to them and they would reach out to me like the soul of the wall.
We can never turn back, so we go forward. We live with it. We'll die with it. But while we're here, make an attempt to have very high self-esteem. Self-esteem is very important. I never did nothing in the Army that I was ashamed of. I served proudly. I served with pride. Combat is a horrific, horrific thing. It is something that you can never forget. No one can condemn us for our actions who sits over here eating peanut butter and jelly and then going to the disco. Okay? And then putting on the 9 o'clock movie. They have no idea, but we served for them. I hope that they never know. And all these other generations who are now coming up, my grandkids, your grandkids, our children, may they never know what we went through. We all did our part. We didn't flinch. Our country called us. We stepped forward. We stepped up to the plate. We are the greatest country in the world right now. You know why? Because of you guys. To my comrades, we can only say to you, we love you. We will never forget you. We will always honor you. We will never forget all of you. Detail 10, what? Present. Put up. Fall out.
The only thing I can say is that I was deeply touched by the wall coming to Colorado. I was deeply involved with the fact that I helped so many people see something they never seen before. People came from Queens, people came from Long Island, people came from Connecticut. We had people coming from Brooklyn and Staten Island. So the whole borough was involved with this project.
Good morning. It's been a great week. It's been an emotional week, but it's been a fantastic week. Today is a very sorry day for a lot of us, because the wall has to go. but it'll keep us all in remembrance of what happened here this week. It's a hard day, and your people are all here to pay all your last respects. With that, retrieve the colors.
My guys and I tried to do the best we could for the community, and by bringing the wall in, we did something that hasn't been done in a long time.
One of the good points is I helped a lot of people start the healing process by them coming to the wall and seeing the name of the loved one.
It's great to have the wall here, and it was great to be part of the moving wall. You know, it made me feel really proud to be an American.
This comes to a conclusion of the moving wall and the color guard. We thank you all. Thank you for coming, and God bless. Thank you.
It's hard to sit and talk about Vietnam. It's hard to talk about the war, but you have to.
Being responsible, helping to bring the wall here was a good thing. It helped a lot of people bring closure to their lives. It helped a lot of vets come out of the closet, like I said. And it's a really good thing. I mean, you know, it felt good to have something here in the Bronx that people were actually proud of.
Oh, it feels great, man. It was the greatest thing we did. We never thought we could do it, and we did it. Brought the wall to the Bronx. It's the greatest feeling in the world, you know, to know that you accomplished something like that, that we were told we couldn't do it. We proved we could.
If we could, we would do it again. Because it means so much to so many people when we did it. And if we could, we would do it again. Without hesitation, we would do it again.
See you guys later.
All right. Thank you.
It's one family. Even though we may come out from different parts of the United States, it's one family. And we always treat ourselves as one family.
What I would like to say to the families of the folks on the wall, and my brothers that died, and the ones that are missing, is that we have you home in spirit, and we really do love you. And God bless, and may you be in a safe and a happier place.
All you 58,000 plus. I'm proud of every one of you, and I'm glad to have served in the same war with you guys.
Thank you for sacrificing your life for us to do what we do today. Thank you for being there when nobody else wanted to be there. And I can say thank you to the families that suffered, but understand why the suffering was all about. And to say that without you guys, some of us would never made it today. Thank you.
Thank you to all you who have served, and I'd like to welcome you all home. And may God bless America.
The names on the wall, you don't have to know. The fact that you know their families, the fact that you know their relatives and their friends, and the fact that you were part of that ordeal, you know about them. You know who they are, you know where they came from, you know how they lived, you know how they survived. You know them all because they all did one thing. They all sacrificed their lives for freedom, for justice. And when people ask that question, do you know anybody on the wall? Yes, you know them all because they're all part of you.
you.